All right, I'm gonna fix this dryer right here. There's a lot to look at. This knob, of course, goes here. I'm in the midst of fixing. I always forget to record stuff I'm fixing. But what's effectively going wrong is that we're hitting the start button, but it's not popping back out. So there's a little bit of a click with the power button, but it was not turning on. I mean, all the digital interface was working, but the start button was not responsive. And so what I figured is I would just open the back of the dryer. So there's about 5 screws, starting down here. There's one down here, 2, 3, 4, and then number 5 down here. When I got that off, realized that the motherboard section was secured as well. So there were also 5 screws. There was one here, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then another one right here in the center, or about here, I think. Yeah, right here, 6, and then anyway, that came off, and so then I was able to find where the problem was, which is behind these. This is what I'm looking for. And so I got back here and noticed that indeed this piece was broken off, and it should look like this one down here where the power button is. And so this piece right here just needs to be repaired, and the plastic piece was sitting right here where it had fallen off. So what I've done, I'm taking it to the garage, and I'll show you in just a moment, and I'm trying to rebuild this piece here to look like that one, just be reinforced, so that the little button, there's a little knob on the end that pushes for the power, that little button. And I should have said this before, but the very first thing you want to do is unplug the dryer. So I've unplugged it, of course, to the rim shock. 220 volts is no joke. All right, and then so up here, this particular one would hit this button here. And I can tell the button works because it has a click. It does respond. So there's 2 ways to fix it. One, I could remove this button altogether and then just use a pencil eraser or something and poke through here and push this, with a pencil. Just keep a pencil right here in the dryer and work it. But it looks a lot better when the button's in place. So I will attempt to rebuild that so that it pushes the button when someone pushes the outer interface. And once I fix that, I'm super gluing it in the garage right now. And then I'll try, and then I'll super glue it back on here and have to hold it for a few seconds, but then hopefully it'll hold, let it dry, and then put it all back together. And I'll record that too. All right, I'm back to it. All right, so here's the part that I'm working on right here. And what I've done, I've taken a paper clip and I'm gonna combine it with this one right here. So on the back it looks like this, but I'll be able to put the super glue here. What I have found is that super glue gel works a lot better than super glue. So the gel control actually holds its shape a little bit and it sets up much, much faster. But anyway, just giving you some ideas on ways you can make this connect to the old one. I'm just kind of almost like a splint to the one that's existing, but it'll go on upside down. And so I'll have to hold it in place for some time. So since it'll be super glue, I might grab a rubber glove and maybe some tape. I'll put some tape on there to hold it, just some Scotch tape in the meantime. All right, and I may just leave it there, we'll see what works. All right, here we are, we're back at it. And this little piece is gonna go right here. Look just like that other one there. So what I will do is I will prepare it with super glue. I got a paper towel up here I want to grab. I never got the glove I talked about getting, but that's okay. All right, getting old. All right, here we go. All right. Put on all the surfaces there. Take my glasses off so I can see better. Here. One thing I did not account for is that screw being in the place, but that's okay. I think I'm okay. Make sure this little knob is facing out. We're just going to click that button. All right, this one gets a little tricky. Yeah, this is going to be hard. And now I got glue on my fingers. That's great. All right. See my bald head.
I think the tape was a good idea. Yeah, the wires, the wires are in the way. You can't see it, but there's a screw that's in the way. Well. I think the tape might have been on.
I needed it to begin with. Now I'm looking at it, but most important thing is when I push this button here, is that little knob can push that little button. If I miss it, I got to be careful, because if it's not lined up just right, it's not going to even hit that button. But I think I'm pretty close. So the tape will actually be probably one of the sloppiest jobs I've ever done, trying to put something together like this. But now that I've gotten that far, the tape was definitely the right call. Alright, let's put this back away. And then it needs about an hour to dry. I didn't talk about it on the earlier video, but the little piece I made, it dried for about 6 hours a day. Really just needs to dry for about an hour. But as long as it's lined up spatially, it'll hit that button. And it looks like it's lined up spatially, so I'm actually not worried about that button too much. I'm probably going to try and go ahead and put this, put the back together right here. Make sure that it gets some resistance when I push the button. So with that, I will put this back together. Alright, I used 2 hands to get that first screw in while I held the plastic piece. Not trying to over tighten these. Normally I'd use a screwdriver, but I'm just, well, I have a little bit of laziness, right? So just don't overdo it. I was taking number 5 in this one. I think there was one in the center. Yep, right there. All right, now, and the far side there. All right. I do hear a click. Not much of one. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it clicks. Problem solved. Alright, now this one, I forgot where it went exactly, but we can find wherever. Missing. This is why I take pictures before you start. In fact, it wasn't here. It was on the back of this one here. Which comes around this way. And This one plugs in right here. Still a good idea to take pictures when you embark on something like this as you disassemble. And then simply put it back where it was. There's some little knobs here, some little not knobs, tabs you push in to remove this. And so you have to push that in to pull it out, and you just got to work at it, pull it out and up. This right here, these two here are ones you would remove if you want to remove the top of the dryer to get to the dryer drum. Anyway, this can go back on now because it's usually shaped, but this is just a circular fitting, so it just goes on wherever. Make me get up. All right, let's see. There we go. All right, back to getting these back on. The tape was the best fix for this particular problem, but the super glue was probably just a waste of time. But it'll make it a little more durable for later, if it has time to even set. Most important thing, you could have fixed this with just a with a pencil eraser, just sitting on top of your dryer forevermore. But just the same, a little bit hard angle there, one more on the other end, and then I'll be putting this thing back into the plug. Push this back in. In fact, I'm going to plug it in first to make sure it's going to work. I mean, I'm sure it is. In fact, okay, here's a moment of truth. All right, and so we got that's odd that they're all 45 minutes. So something's not right there. This is a little bit tight because I just slid it back on. There is a fitting on here. You see how it's got a different shape on that one side? But this is perfectly round. Okay, there we are, I see. All right, so it's on de-wrinkle. But nonetheless, that should be changing. Let me see if it works. Well, sometimes this happens. Let me hold this for 3 seconds and release the lock. Could be the problem. Well, let's say I'm getting a... Okay, so what I read last night, if you hold this down and then twist this 7 times counterclockwise, it'll reset the computer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then release. We have to do that with 2 hands. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I could also unplug it for 3 minutes. That should... Unplugging it for 3 minutes, it should also help. And it could be, it could be very likely that this is actually pushing that button in the whole time, which could also be the case, because I may have put it on too tight. So, in fact, that's probably what the problem is. I'm going to take the back off again. I won't record that, but then I'm going to loosen that one screw that was sort of in the middle right here, right about here, of the green motherboard. I'll bet you it's on too tight. and is pushing up against those buttons on that one. Let me try that. All right, so I'm just going to record me taking this off because that'll help make the video more complete anyway. There we go. And then these tabs here, push into that one, push into that one. And I was going to loosen, I was going to screwdriver out for that, this one right here, because I think it might be pressing the buttons too hard. Because I did see it kind of cave in when I screwed it in. So I'll just loosen enough where it's kind of hanging out halfway. And honestly, I didn't even unplug it this time. Shame on me. Well, let's see if that, nope. Nope. Could be the door. Well, now I have a new problem. Alright, let's see. One thing I changed is I took this cord in and out, and I should not be back here without having unplugged it first, but we'll figure this out. That's what we do, figure things out. I better unplug it so I don't short something out. Alright, I'm gonna unplug it. Most of what I learned to do stuff like this, I go online myself and look at what people have done and see how I can make it apply to my case specifically. And so what I discovered is that I needed something to fix that push button. However, what I discovered is that there are other issues like the one I'm having now that people have had, and things that they do is that they I'm going to look at the switch. That's why I'm taking this apart again. I'm looking at the switch, and I don't want to lose that screw. But come on. Right. If you unplug it for 3 minutes and let it sit, then idle, unplug for 3 minutes, then you will reset the computer diagnostics. So I could try that too. And I had these things sitting on this magnetic pad, and now all the screws are magnetized. Good and bad. Good and bad. Come on. I have. Okay, maybe he won't come out when I take it off. I'm sure he will. We'll see. And that's why. That is why you don't want to do what I just did. Thankfully I can see them. And finally. That one I have lost. Now, I'll probably get criticized for this on YouTube, but what I'll say is that if, for whatever reason, you lose one screw, it's probably fine. I put many things together missing one screw sometimes because things like that happen. And you know what? It's okay. It's better than spending $800 on a new washing machine or a dryer. Whole point being, can it work, and does it work for your purposes? Hence, going back to the pencil eraser solution. Sometimes it just has to work. Okay, well, the part I replaced is still there. be causing the put this back here. What could be causing the persistent screen? I don't really know. There's the one that didn't want to come out. Yeah. Alright, well, that was a fruitless effort. However, what it did do is about 3 minutes I've spent with an unplug, it will at least be able to reset the computer. There's that. I just won't do these quite as tight. Not that a drill can help you determine that, but I'm just trying to wing it. So I'll do most of my repairs after watching the YouTube video, of course. And this one again, super loose. All right. Now, before I put the back back on, I'm going to pull this back around. Pop this pin back in. Notionally set it on here. So this way I'll have to take it back out if I need to. Alright, let's try plugging it in one more time. Just at the top. So normal. Get on there. The orientation is correct. That's what I thought. Huh. Be careful not to break this part. That would be a pain in the neck. This might be one of the reasons that one screw in the center was there, but so tight. It could be causing me problems here, but I don't think that's it yet. This combination won't push gently enough to. Let me see if it even works. Okay, power button is not working. So there's the problem. I mean, if the power button is not seated correctly on the motherboard. So by taking this apart, I've created my own problem. So the power button is either persistently pressed, which is why nothing changes, like the numbers on the front and the star continues to flash. Probably the case. So let's take this back off. Again, unplug for safety if you're doing this at home. I'm just trying to troubleshoot out loud. And you know what? If all else fails, read the directions. I got some right here, but I'm not quite one. I think YouTube's still giving me the best, or rather, whatever his iPhone uses, Safari. I will unplug this in just a moment, but first, why that wouldn't be lined up. And if I can see between the two when it's screwed in. No, you cannot. Okay, here's what the problem was. There are two little catches here that have to be seated right on the side here. And there's one over here too. Apparently it was already, no. It was already close to being seated, but not. But you know what? That's okay. I think now, as long as I can get, put it all back together. It's all about having that button pressed against these two that I'm worried about right now. That's what I'm concerned with. Seemingly, I fixed the power button, so. Nope. All right. At least the power button works again. I don't know why this won't go back on. There we go. All right, now it's back. It's not changing. At least the power button works now. Buttons are sensitive, obviously. Now the buttons on this side aren't touching. Okay, which goes back to the little pin over here not being connected. Take this back off. Take this off. We're getting there. It's a process. So over here, when I screwed it in, I need to be seated on that clip. Certain once it's seated, it will do what it needs to do. So there's something that's catching or preventing it from, because that's why these buttons over here aren't working. And if it's all not connected, it's not going to work. So what could be preventing it from latching back on to where it was? That's the mystery. Because it's not clipping back on like I thought it would. Likely means there's just a, and again, I'm still plugged in. I want to be forever remembering that 220 volts is a lot. And I don't want to short out anything. Come on. Whatever. It'll fall on the floor here in a moment. Something isn't just, yeah, we'll get it. All right, now it's seated on there correctly. Now, the time's changed now. No. Maybe that's what this wire does, who knows? I should know what those wires do. If I read the instructions, I might know. I don't know what, we'll see if this happens to make a difference. It's giving an indication like it's locked. Nothing's changing, which these two lock buttons over here. Says hold for 3 seconds. much stress on these at the same time. I want to just set it here. There we go. Set, hold, start, and go counterclockwise 7 times. And then release start button, but that didn't fix it either. Maybe that was the lock. Yes, it was. I had to hold them down just right at the same time. All right, so now the times change. And now it works. Power that puppy off. I'm still plugged in. Not recommended, but that's the fastest way to troubleshoot in my mind. So, it was messing with the locks a few times. Let me set this back on. Here's some clicks. And then what it is, the screws are nothing but a formality, but I'll make sure it works one more time. Alright. I think I fixed it. Alright. There you go. And just like that, the dryer works again. Dryer works, hon.